Expect Georgia and Alabama to be 1-2 in first college football playoff rankings. Cade Massey, a practice professor at the Wharton School, and Rufus Peabody, a Washington-based sports analyst, developed this ranking system for projecting future performance. Ratings represent a team's predicted point differential against an average team on a neutral field. Current season statistics are adjusted for home field, opponent and game situation, blended with preseason expectations and weighted by their predictive ability. When the College Football Playoff Committee unveils its first rankings Tuesday night, we'll find out what teams committee members believe are the best so far. But the rankings tend to blur best and most deserving, which makes forecasting the process tricky. With 3 years of hindsight and continuing algorithmic tweaks, we're getting closer to understanding what the committee is looking for. Based on that analysis, we expect the top 4 teams in the first rankings to be, in order, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson and Miami. See table below. More interestingly, perhaps, we give 3 of those teams a better than 50% chance of remaining in the top 4 when the regular season is over. If that happened, it would be the first time since the new system was put in place in 2014 that the committee picked more than 2 playoff qualifiers right out of the gate. The committee's criteria for choosing the best teams versus the most deserving ones are complex, and our understanding of them imperfect, but analyzing 3 years of rankings give us an objective basis for forecasting an inherently subjective process. Of the 2 factors, best is easiest to fathom because it's what we do every week, evaluate how good each team is in terms of how well they'll do in the future. Meantime, a convenient way to think about most deserving is what ESPN calls strength of record, SOR. It's related to strength of schedule, but considers a team's record in addition to whom they have played. Technically speaking, SOR is the probability an average top 25 team would have at least as many wins, given their schedule, as a team has so far achieved. For example, in our analysis, an average top 25 team would have just a 9% chance of winning as many games as Georgia has, all of them. If it played the Bulldogs' schedule. That's easily the lowest probability of any team, thus Georgia's top SOR ranking. Even after tweaking how our model accounts for SOR and other factors, we know we'll miss some of the particulars in the committee's first rankings, but we're confident in the broader insights revealed by them. Here are a few emerging themes we believe will color the rest of the college football season. Georgia and Alabama are in a tier by themselves. We strongly expect the top 2 teams to be the SEC leaders. They are widely considered 2 of the best teams. We have them number 1 and number 3, and are undefeated despite challenging schedules, so they also have the 2 best SORs, number 1 and number 2. They are very close, the order easily could be flipped, and for the first time we believe they will both make the playoff. It is an unusually crowded field, few sequences of teams knows. 3-11 would surprise us. With so many carrying similar resumes, the committee faces a thankless task. Moreover, we expect the mess to persist. At this point we forecast more than 7-0 and 1-loss Power 5 teams when the committee has to make its final choices. Historically, conference champs have received a bump, so amid all the bedlam, the path to the playoff is still clear. Win a Power 5 conference with fewer than 2 losses, and you are almost certain, 89%, to get in. Notre Dame complicates committee calculations. The Irish move up to number 9 in our power rankings this week, and are one big step closer to winning out. We now give them a 32% chance of doing so, and a 16% chance of making the playoff. But they are especially tough to forecast. Because the Irish are an independent, the committee base a selection on a conference championship, something it potentially can do for schools such as Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma and Washington. You might think reasonably that would hurt Notre Dame, but the Irish play the nation's 3rd toughest schedule and have obvious cachet. Could the committee put their finger on the scale for the closest thing there is to a national team? We suspect they'll be given some conference championship credit despite their independent status. Doing so ups their playoff probability from what would have been 13%. Miami and Washington are two sides of the same coin. Miami has great score but looks lousy in our numbers, number 17, so we expect them to start high and fall, especially because they have to go through Clemson in the ACC. We'd make the Tigers 10-point favorites. Miami's seeding this week should be a good barometer for how much weight the committee puts on wins and losses. Washington is the opposite, a team with a dreadful score, number 19, but still high in our power rankings, number 5. We expect them to start low and rise over time, though the Huskies likely have too much ground to make up given the strength of the field. The Pac-12 and Big 12 are on the outside looking in. Georgia's elbowing their way into the playoff bracket comes at entire conference's expense. The Big 12 is hardly dead, but TCU's unexpected loss at Iowa State reduces the chance the conference champ will emerge with only one loss to 54%, and makes the Big 12 winner just a coin flip to produce a playoff team. Washington's still the favorite out of the Pac-12, and the last team standing, but the weakness of their record is a major problem in a season with so many strong contenders. We'll learn how the committee views this year's contenders Tuesday. But there's a fair bit of football left, and how things play out on the field is a greater source of uncertainty than the committee's preferences. Regardless, we're buying our number 2 Ohio State and selling our number 17 Miami. Bob Tedeschi contributed. Read more college football coverage. Florida decides to part ways with coach Jim McElwain, Randy Shannon promoted. Campus cleanup, only the luckiest people get to live in Ames, Iowa. In shocking Penn State, Ohio State and J.T. Barrett refuse to let go. College football winners and losers, Penn State must hope it's this year's Ohio State. Dartmouth assistant tossed for smashing window in coach's box during loss.